I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am, trying to make sense of a mess I never expected to stumble into. I've always believed in honesty, in loyalty. My wife, Sarah, seemed like the kind of person who wouldn't cheat. That's why what I found out hit me like a punch to the gut. It all started a week ago, right after my bachelor party. The night was loud, borderline chaotic, a blur of drinks and stupid jokes. I was exhausted the next day, my head pounding, but that's when I first noticed something strange. It was a small thing at first, an email notification blinking on my phone while I was still half asleep. I didn't think much of it at first. Just a work email, probably from her boss, Marcus. I knew she'd been working late lately, but the tone of that email was different, intimate, almost personal. I remember feeling a little sick when I saw her name pop up. I brushed it off, told myself I was paranoid. But that was just the beginning. A few days later, I noticed her phone was always face down, out of sight. She'd brush past me, quick to change the subject or look away when I asked how her day was. The little lies started stacking up. Then last night I found her phone on the couch unlocked. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I was just trying to find my keys and I saw her messages. That's when my stomach dropped. There was a text thread with Marcus, filled with flirty emojis, inside jokes, and plans that clearly weren't about work. My heart hammered in my chest. I sat there just staring at the glowing screen, trying to process what I was seeing. I felt this cold shock run down my spine like someone had poured ice water over my head. My hands trembled. How long has this been going on? Were they sleeping together? I wanted to scream, but my voice was stuck. I knew I had to confront her, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I just closed her phone slowly, hearing the faint click of the lock. That's when I realized she'd lied about everything. About working late, about her meetings, about her friendship with Marcus. It was all a cover-up, a lie she spun to hide what she'd been doing behind my back. The worst part is the feeling of betrayal, the way my stomach clenched when I saw her messages. It's like someone reached inside me and tore out my guts. I've built my life around her, trust, stability, the idea that I had someone I could count on. Now that's shattered and I don't know if I can ever put it back together. But that's not even the worst part. The thought that she might have been doing this during our entire relationship, especially right before the wedding, makes my skin crawl. I was ready to marry her, to spend my life with her, and she was sneaking around with her boss. That's not just a fling, this is a full-blown betrayal. I've been sitting here, replaying everything in my head, trying to figure out what the hell I did wrong. But honestly, I know deep down this isn't about me. It's about her choosing to lie and cheat behind my back. Still, I can't help but wonder if there's any way to fix this, if I even want to try. Or am I better off walking away and cutting my losses? My hands are sweaty just thinking about facing her tonight and what she'll say. I keep telling myself it's over, that I'll never trust her again. But part of me whispers that maybe, just maybe, I can turn this around. If I plan carefully, if I make her see what she's lost. I kept her phone in my hand last night, staring at that screen for so long I lost track of time. I wanted to scream, break something, or throw her phone across the room. Instead, I kept calm, trying to think through what I'd do next. I needed a plan, and I needed it fast. I've always believed in getting even and making someone feel the weight of their betrayal. That's why I've been brewing something in my mind all day. Something that'll make her regret ever crossing me. Tonight, I'm going to confront her, face to face. No more hiding. I want her to see the anger, the hurt, the absolute disappointment I feel. I want her to realize that what she did isn't just a mistake, it's a betrayal of everything we had. And if she thinks I'll just forgive her, she's dead wrong. I don't know how I'll handle the aftermath yet, but I do know that just walking away without some kind of payback doesn't sit right with me. I need her to understand exactly what she threw away and what I'm capable of doing to make her feel it. Tomorrow morning, everything changes. Tonight, I sat in the dark for a while longer, trying to figure out what my next move was. My mind was a mess, part rage, part heartbreak, and a heavy dose of determination. I knew I couldn't just confront her without a plan. That would give her the chance to spin some sob story or deny everything outright. No, I needed proof, something irrefutable, something that would make her realize I wasn't fooling around like she thought I might be. First thing I did was go through her things. I didn't want to be sneaky, but I also wasn't planning on leaving anything to chance. Her purse was on the kitchen table, so I grabbed it quietly, feeling the rough leather under my fingertips. I found her phone charger, her wallet, and a small notepad she kept in there for notes. I wasn't planning on digging through her personal stuff for the thrill. This was strictly strategic. I wanted something tangible, something I could hold over her head, if need be. I remembered she kept her passwords simple, her birthday, her mother's name, and I used that to unlock her phone. I didn't hack her accounts or do anything shady. I just played by her rules because I knew I could. Once inside, I combed through her messages, photos, and recent calls. I wasn't intending to read everything, just the key conversations. That's when I saw the message thread with Marcus again, but this time there was an attached photo. My stomach clenched when I saw it, a picture of her lying on a bed, her head tipped back in what looked like a moment of orgasmic bliss. It wasn't just flirtation anymore, it was raw and real. The image burned into my mind. I felt my jaw tight and my fists clench so hard I thought they'd bleed. I wasn't a violent guy, but in that moment I wanted to smash something, anything. I saved the photo to my phone just in case I needed it as proof. Her words in that message, "Can't wait to see you again," made it clear there was more than just a one-time thing. This wasn't some random fling. It was an affair, a secret life she'd been hiding from me. I also found receipts for dinners and hotel bookings with Marcus. She'd been sneaking out late, staying overnight, probably at some hotel I didn't even know about. The sick feeling in my gut grew worse. I was already hurting, already doubting everything about us, but now I knew for sure she'd been lying all along. That's when I realized I couldn't just bury this and pretend it never happened. I had to act, and I had to be careful. This wasn't just about catching her cheating, it was about sending a message. I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not without consequences. I knew I had to prepare, plan my next steps, and make sure I controlled the situation. I needed her to feel vulnerable, to see that I wasn't someone she could step all over. She betrayed me during my bachelor party. The night I was supposed to be celebrating, she was out with her boss. That was the real punch. I started making a list of what I'd do. Quietly, covertly. First, I'd get some evidence to show her I knew everything. Then, I'd confront her face to face in a way that would leave her no room to deny or spin her way out of it. I wanted her to see my fury, my disappointment, and my resolve. I'd tell her I knew about the affair, that I had proof, and that I was done playing nice. As I sat there, clutching her phone, my palms sweaty, I felt this strange mixture of relief and rage. Relief because I finally had clarity. Rage because she'd lied to me for so long, cheated during what should have been the happiest moment of my life. I knew some guys might say I was overreacting, that I should just walk away, but that's not who I am. I don't give up that easily, especially not on someone who was supposed to be my partner for life. Tomorrow I was going to have that talk. I had a plan. I'd bring her some of the evidence, lay it all out, and see what she had to say. If she tried to deny it, I'd be ready. If she begged or cried, I'd stay cold. Because the truth is, once I confront her, everything is going to change. And I need to be prepared for whatever comes next. The question is, am I about to lose everything, or am I finally about to take control? I guess I'll find out soon enough. The next morning I woke up with a knot in my stomach. The air felt thick, heavy with the weight of what I was about to do. I knew I couldn't just blurt everything out without some sort of game plan. I had to be deliberate, calm, cold even, so she wouldn't see me as just a guy losing his mind. I got up early, grabbed a coffee, and sat at the kitchen table, the evidence still tucked away in my phone. I needed to be sharp, ready to push her into a corner. I decided to make her think I was still clueless, at least for a little while longer. I wanted her to believe she could still pull the wool over my eyes, to let her lower her guard. So I acted normal, even cheerful, when she finally came down. She looked surprised to see me awake this early, her eyes flickering with something I couldn't quite place. "Good morning," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Did you sleep well?" She hesitated, then shrugged. "Yeah, I guess, just tired." I nodded. "Me too. Hey, I need to talk to you about something. Can we sit down?" Her face stiffened slightly, but she nodded and followed me into the living room. I kept my tone even, almost casual. Look, I found some things yesterday, stuff that's been bothering me. Things I wasn't seeing clearly before. I want us to be honest. No more hiding, no more secrets. So if you're ready, I think we should talk. Her eyes darted, a flicker of panic perhaps, but she nodded again. Okay, I guess I owe you that much. I pulled out my phone, turned on the screen, and played the video I'd saved last night. Her face froze when she saw it. Her cheeks flushed and her eyes widened. She tried to speak, but the words got caught in her throat. I saw her struggle, her mind racing. Is this you and Marcus? I asked, voice low but steady. Because I found your messages. The hotel bookings, the dinners, the pictures. I know everything. She looked down, her hands trembling slightly. It's not what you think. Save it, I cut her off. I don't want to hear excuses. I want to know why you did this. During my bachelor party, when I thought you were preparing for the wedding. She finally looked up, tears brimming in her eyes. I was lonely, okay? I didn't mean for it to go this far. Marcus, he made me feel special, wanted. I didn't want to hurt you, but I was stupid. I was weak. I felt my stomach turn, that deep, searing anger bubbling up. You cheated on me during my bachelor party. The night I was out celebrating while you were with him. Do you even understand how that makes me feel, or are you just trying to spin some sob story? She burst into tears, her voice trembling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared you'd leave. I was scared I'd lose everything. That's when I realized I'd reached the point where I couldn't keep pretending I was okay. I had to decide how far I was willing to go. I couldn't just forgive her, not after seeing what I saw. But I also didn't want this to be a messy, emotionally damaging breakup. I needed to make her understand that I wasn't just hurt. I was furious and planning something that would make her regret crossing me. I don't know if I can forgive this, I said coldly. But I do know one thing, you're going to regret this, because I'm not the kind of guy who lets betrayal slide. And I've got a plan, one that's going to make you wish you never crossed me. She looked up, eyes glassy and pleading. Please, don't do anything stupid. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. I took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline surge through my veins. Fix it? You mean pretend this did happen? That's not fixing anything. I want you to understand this isn't just about cheating, it's about respect. And you've lost mine, so I'm going to give you a choice. You can come clean, admit everything, and accept whatever consequences follow. Or we can go down a different road, one you won't like. She looked at me with wide, helpless eyes, trembling all over. What are you going to do? I smiled bitterly, already knowing what I was capable of. You'll see. I'll give you some time to think about it, but just know nothing will be the same after today. I spent the rest of the day planning my move. I didn't want to rush into anything reckless, but I knew I had to act decisively. Every second I hesitated, I felt the anger simmering deeper inside me. I had her cornered now, and I was going to make sure she understood what she'd done, and what I was capable of doing in response. I went through her things again just to make sure I had everything I needed. Her laptop was open on the kitchen table, so I took a quick glance. I didn't spend too long, just enough to find an email from Marcus, sent late at night, confirming their plans, complete with a time and location. I downloaded it onto my phone, knowing it would serve as undeniable proof later. It was a small thing, but it was enough to make her realize I was on top of everything. Then I started drafting a message. Not to her. I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of a reply just yet. No, this was for her boss, Marcus. I wanted him to know I was aware, that I had everything he'd sent, every detail, every little lie. I wanted him to feel the weight of what he'd done, knowing I had the leverage to destroy him if I chose. I also made some calls, not to anyone I knew, just to gather some discreet information. I wanted to know if Marcus had a wife, a family, just in case I needed to escalate. My mind was cold now, calculating, focused on the fact that I had power in this situation. I wasn't just the betrayed husband anymore, I was the man with the upper hand. Late that night, I decided to confront her again, but this time differently. I sat her down, calm but firm. Her eyes were puffy, her face pale. She knew I was serious. I slid the email from Marcus across the table, watching her reaction. Her hands trembled as she saw the message, her face going ghostly pale. You lied, I said, voice low but steady. You lied about everything. About working late, about your meetings, about your feelings for Marcus. I have the proof now, and I'm not done." She looked at me with tears streaming down her cheeks. "Please, don't ruin everything. I'll do anything, just don't do this." I shook my head slowly. "No, you don't get to decide what's next. You crossed a line I can't ignore, so here's what's going to happen. Tonight I'm going to send this email to Marcus. I want him to know I'm onto him, and tomorrow I'll decide what to do about you." Her voice broke. "You're just going to destroy him." "No," I said quietly. "I'm going to make him regret ever messing with my wife. And then I'll decide whether I want to keep going with this marriage or walk away. But before I do anything, I want him to know I know. And I want you to understand that I'm not the kind of guy who lets betrayal slide." I pulled out my phone, the email ready to be sent. Just as I was about to hit send, she reached out and grabbed my arm, tears in her eyes. "Please, don't do this. I'll tell you everything. I'll come clean about everything if you just give me a chance." I looked at her, feeling the weight of everything. For a brief moment I hesitated. Maybe I was still hoping for some kind of redemption, some way to salvage what little was left. But then I remembered the lies, the betrayal, the nights she spent with him while I was out celebrating my last single days. "Tell me everything," I said coldly, "because I want the full story, and I want it before I make my next move." She nodded, finally breaking down completely. Her voice cracked as she started to confess the details I already knew, but hearing her say it out loud made everything real. It was a confession, yes, but it was also a surrender. She knew she had lost everything. I didn't stop her, just listened, feeling the numbness settle in. This was the moment I had been waiting for: proof, confession, and the clear understanding that her choice had sealed her fate. By the time she finished, I already had the email typed, ready to send. I looked at her one last time, then pressed send. The response was instantaneous. Marcus read it, saw I knew everything, and I could tell from his reply he was rattled, trying to deny and dismiss. But it was too late. I had him caught. And now I held all the cards. I took a deep breath, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and emptiness. Tomorrow I'd decide what to do with her. But tonight I just sat there, staring at the glowing screen of my phone, knowing I'd finally taken control of a situation I once believed was impossible to fix. The betrayal was raw, brutal even, but I was ready to face whatever came next. Because the truth was, I wasn't the one who lost, she did. And I was about to make sure she understood exactly how much she lost when she crossed me. Morning light crept through the curtains, dull and gray, matching how I felt inside. I had spent the night tightening my plan, weighing every move carefully. I knew I couldn't just confront her blindly, not after what she'd done. No, I needed her to see the damage she caused, and I needed her to feel the weight of it. This wasn't just about breaking her trust. This was about sending a message she wouldn't forget. She was still asleep when I woke up. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen from crying. I looked at her for a long moment, feeling the strange mix of anger, disappointment, and a strange sense of calm. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small box I'd prepared the night before. Inside was a set of keys, her keys. I pressed them into her hand gently, then leaned in close. "You need to decide what's more important," I said softly. "Your lies or the truth. You've got a choice today. You can come clean, tell me everything, and we'll see where that leads. Or you can keep hiding and I'll finish what I started." I paused, letting her process my words. "But I promise you, once I walk out that door, this isn't going to be the same." Her eyes flickered open, tears pooling again. "Please," she whispered, "can we just talk? I don't want this to end like this." I shook my head, feeling my jaw tight. "No, Sarah, talking isn't going to change what's already happened, but I'm giving you one last shot. Be honest now. Tell me everything. Who else knows? How long has this been going on?" She looked down, trembling, then finally started speaking. The floodgates opened. She spilled the details: how Marcus had been persistent, how she'd been caught up in the thrill, how she'd convinced herself it was just a mistake. But I knew better. I'd seen enough to know this was more than a mistake. It was a betrayal of everything we were supposed to have. I listened quietly, feeling my fists curl involuntarily. When she finished, I leaned back, feeling the weight of her words settle over me. It was a lot to take in, but I already knew what I had to do. This wasn't about her apologies or her tears. It was about making her feel the consequences. I want you to understand, I said slowly, that I'm not just angry, I'm furious. And I've got a plan to make sure you remember this day forever. You crossed a line and I'm going to make sure you regret it. Her breath hitched, eyes brimming with tears. What are you going to do? I reached into my pocket again, pulling out the evidence I'd collected, screenshots, hotel receipts, the photo. I placed it on the table in front of her. Her eyes widened when she saw everything. The truth was staring her right in the face. She looked like she wanted to crawl out of her skin. You see this? I said, voice cold and measured. This is what I've got, and this is just the beginning. I've already sent the email to Marcus. He's going to get a wake-up call. Now, I want you to think about what's more important, saving what's left of us or losing everything because of your stupid choices. She covered her face with her hands, crying harder now. I didn't mean to hurt you, I swear. It just happened. I was stupid. Stop, I cut her off sharply. You think I care about excuses, I care about what you did. And I care about whether you're going to be honest with me from now on, because if you're really sorry, then I want you to do something for me. What? She whispered, voice muffled. Tell me you're done with Marcus. Tell me you're ending things for good. And I want you to swear that you won't do this ever again. Because if I catch you lying, I swear, this will be the last time I ever trust you, do you understand? She looked up, tears streaming down her face, shivering as she nodded. Yes, I swear, I'll end it, I'll do whatever it takes. I looked at her, feeling the cold resolve settle in. Good, because I'm not going to stick around and watch this fall apart anymore. I'm giving you one shot. If you mess this up, I walk away and never look back. I got up slowly, walking to the door. Before I left, I looked back at her one last time. Don't call me. Don't try to explain. Just do what you said you would, because if you don't, I won't be the one doing the forgiving. And with that, I closed the door behind me, leaving her sitting there, broken and crying on the other side. I felt a strange mixture of relief and annoying emptiness. I knew I'd won some kind of battle, but the war was far from over. Now I had to see if she'd follow through, or if she'd try to lie her way out of this again. As I stepped outside, I knew one thing for sure. I was done playing the fool. It was time to take control before she had the chance to slip away again. Whatever was coming next, I was ready. Days passed with a strange sense of numbness. I kept busy, pretending everything was normal, but inside I was constantly weighing my options. I knew she'd be trying to keep her promise, that she'd be ending things with Marcus, but I also knew that actions speak louder than words. I wasn't going to wait around for her to slip up again. I had already decided, if she didn't follow through, I was walking away for good. I couldn't live in a relationship built on lies. She tried to act normal, but I saw the cracks. She was anxious, constantly texting or calling Marcus, trying to cover her tracks, and I stayed cold, guarded. I didn't trust her anymore, not even a little. I could feel the tension thickening between us like a storm ready to break. Still, I wanted to give her some room to prove she was serious. One afternoon, I told her I needed to talk. She looked nervous but nodded, sitting across from me with her hands clenched in her lap. I could see her eyes darting, every little movement, every blink seemed like a plea for forgiveness or maybe an excuse. I took a deep breath and let the silence hang heavy before speaking. Sarah, I started, voice steady but cold, I want you to know I've thought about everything, about us, about what you did, and I've come to a decision. I don't think I can keep pretending I don't see the truth anymore. Her face went pale. What do you mean? I said slowly, that I'm done. You had your chance and you chose to betray me during what should have been the happiest time of my life. I can't unsee that, I can't forget it, and I refuse to live in a relationship where I'm constantly doubting you. Her eyes widened, tears welled again, but I kept my voice firm. I'm ending this. You're going to pack your things and leave. I want you out by tonight. She shook her head violently. Please don't do this. I'll do anything. Just give me one more chance. I shook my head. No. That's not how it works. You lied, cheated, and lied some more. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I can trust you again, because I can't. Not after what I saw, not after what you admitted. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. I knew she was trying to break me, to get me to change my mind, but I was done playing the fool. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the keys I had kept all along. I placed them on the table between us. You want your stuff? You'd better come get it, I said. And take your time. But when you leave tonight, I want you gone. You're no longer welcome in my life." She looked at the keys, then at me, despair in her eyes. "You can't do this. I love you. I made a mistake, but—" "Love," I interrupted sharply. "You don't get to toss that word around after what you've done. Love is about trust, respect, loyalty. You threw all of that away, and I refuse to be the fool who sticks around just hoping things will get better, because they won't." She stood there, tears streaming down her face, voice trembling. "Please, I'll do whatever it takes. Just don't throw everything away." I took a step back, firm. "It's already over. The moment I saw those messages, everything changed. You chose Marcus over us, over me. And I won't be the guy chasing after someone who doesn't want to be with me." That was it. I turned and walked out, leaving her standing there, crying and pleading. I felt a strange calm as I heard the door close behind me. I had finally taken control. I knew I'd feel the pain for a while. That's part of losing someone you loved. But I also knew I'd be better off without that weight dragging me down. Back outside, I took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill my lungs. I'd made my decision, and I wasn't looking back. As I watched her pack her things into her car, I realized something clear. The betrayal stung like hell, but I was finally free. Free from the lies, the betrayal, the false promises. I'd survived this storm, and I knew I'd come out stronger. The truth is, sometimes the only way to find peace is to cut the cord. And I did just that.